Be honest. If your relationship ended tomorrow, would you be financially okay? Or would you be scrambling around trying to figure out how you do money on your own? So many women unknowingly put themselves in a financially vulnerable position, whether that's relying on a partner, not investing, or just spending without a plan. Let's talk about the 4 biggest money mistakes women make, and more importantly, how to fix them. Women face unique financial challenges. We tend to earn less, take career breaks for family, and live longer, which means we need more money, not less. But often, we're not taught how to build real financial security. Women retire, on average, with 30% less than men, even though we live longer. That means many women outlive their money. And if that wasn't enough, after divorce, a woman's income drops by almost 40%. That's almost half your income gone. As an accountant and finance director, I've spent years studying wealth building and financial strategy. I've seen firsthand how even smart, successful women can unknowingly make these mistakes. Mistakes that hold them back from true financial security and independence. I don't want you to be part of those stats. I want you to have choices, a financial cushion that lets you walk away from anything that doesn't serve you anymore. I know what it's like to feel like you're in control until you realize that you're not. Even with my background, I've made a lot of money mistakes. I've spent on things that I thought that I should have. I've put off investing because I thought I needed a lot of money first. And for way too long, I assumed things would just work out financially. Well, they don't. Money doesn't magically fix itself. But once I took control, everything changed. And now, as somebody who helps women grow their wealth, I want the same for you. So let's go through these 4 money mistakes together. And more importantly, let's fix them, starting right now. Mistake number 1 is not investing early enough. Let's start with the biggest mistake that I see women make. And trust me, I made this one myself. I used to think that I needed a lot of money to start investing. Back when I first got serious about my finances, I focused on budgeting, saving, and paying off debt. But investing, that sounded like something only for rich people, or something that I'd do later when I've got enough money. I told myself I'll start that when I've got more income, or I need to learn more about it first. But I wish I'd known earlier, the biggest advantage in investing isn't how much money you've got, it's time. And waiting a few years can cost you thousands. Let me show you exactly what I mean. If you invest £100 a month starting at 25, assuming an 8% annual return after inflation, by the time you're 65, you'd have around £349,100. But if you waited until you were 35 to start, you'd end up with £149,035. Even though you only put in 12 grand less. That late start has cost you £200,000 just for waiting 10 years. You might wonder where I've got the 8% return from. Well, historically, global stock markets have provided substantial returns over the years. For instance, the Vanguard FTSE Global All Cap, the one that I invest in, aims to track the performance of the FTSE Global All Cap Index, which represents large, mid, and small cap companies worldwide. Over the past 5 years, this fund has provided annual returns of approximately 11.28%. While past performance doesn't guarantee future performance, it provides a reasonable expectation for long-term investors. In the UK, the Bank of England aims for a 2.5% inflation. I've rounded that up to 3% to be cautious because, well, just look at the past few years. So 11% minus 3% gives me the 8% return. It's natural to be concerned about the risks associated with investing, especially with market fluctuations. However, investing in a diversified global index fund, like the FTSE Global All Cap, tends to be less risky over time. Historically, the likelihood of experiencing a loss decreases the longer you stay in the market. While short-term market movements can be volatile, a long-term investment horizon allows you to ride out these waves and benefit benefit from the overall upward trend of the market. So start now, even with small amounts. You don't need a large sum to begin investing. Starting with just £100 a month, you can harness the power of compound over time. Utilize tax advantaged accounts. In the UK, that would be a stocks and shares ISA or your workplace pension scheme. Every employer should offer a matched pension contribution, which is essentially free money. Diversify your investments. A global index fund provides exposure to a wide range of companies across the world, which helps to spread the risk. So the bottom line is the best time to start investing was 10 years ago. The next best time is today. Don't let misconceptions or fears hold you back. I wish somebody had shown me this years ago, because once you see the numbers, you realize that waiting is a real risk, not investing. This mistake is especially common for women because, let's be honest, we are the natural caregivers. For years, I put other people's financial needs above my own. I thought I was just being kind, helping out, and doing what was expected. I covered extra expenses in relationships, helped my family out when they needed it, and always put myself last when it came to spending or saving. But I remember one day looking at my bank account and realizing that I had put nothing aside for myself. No emergency fund, no investments, and no real savings. I had spent years making sure that everybody else was safe financially, but I'd completely neglected my own security. And that's the mistake that many women make. We prioritize others over our own financial security. We give, we support, we put others first. And in that process, we delay or even sabotage our own financial futures. And the worst part, no one even realized, because to them, I was just doing what I always had done, showing up, paying the bill, saying yes. But I was the one feeling stressed and financially stuck. Women are more likely to take career breaks, work part-time and cover family expenses, often at the cost of their own financial security. On average, women retire with 30% less than men. And a big part of that is that we spend years prioritizing others over ourselves. I've seen so many women putting off saving and investing because they're too busy helping everybody else, lending money to family, covering for a partner, paying for kids' activities, whilst neglecting their own savings. It all adds up. The problem is life happens. Relationships end, kids grow up, and at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you are financially secure first. So check yourself before saying yes. Before you agree to anything money related, lending money, paying for something, taking on the financial burden, pause and ask yourself, will this hurt my financial future? If the answer is yes, it's okay to rethink it. Your finances come first, and that's okay. Having an emergency fund, saving for retirement, and investing isn't selfish, it's smart. If something happens to you, you are your own backup plan. If you love helping people, set a budget for this. Let's say you decide you can afford £50 a month for family and friends who need help. That way, you can give without guilt and never at your own expense. At the end of the day, you can't help people if you're struggling yourself. Financial independence means freedom, choices, and the ability to support others on your terms. So start putting yourself first. This next mistake I've definitely been guilty of. About 5 years ago, I had this moment that completely changed the way I thought about money. I was standing in front of my wardrobe, staring at a bunch of expensive clothes, shoes, and bags that I didn't even wear. I'd bought it all because I thought that it would make me feel successful, but instead it made me feel a bit sick. Despite earning more than I'd ever earned before, I wasn't actually any better off. My savings weren't growing, my investments were barely touched, and yet my spending had ramped up to something that I'd never seen before. More meals out, nicer holidays, impulse shopping, all because I told myself that I deserved it because I was working so hard. I still have to check myself on this. Just recently, I got a bonus and I told myself I'm going to be smart with this one. And I was. I invested 60% of it. but I also spent more than I planned on treats. The difference is now I can recognize it and adjust. I don't beat myself up about it, but I also don't let it become a pattern. That's the thing about lifestyle creep. It doesn't mean you're bad with money. It means that you're human. The key isn't to never spend, it's to spend with intention. So as your income grows, so does your wealth. Lifestyle creep is when your spending increases as your income goes up without actually improving your financial security. Instead of using your extra income to build wealth, you use it to just buy things so it disappears. You get a nicer home, you get nicer holidays, a bigger home, fancier clothes, or you just spend more on everyday things. You start going to M&S instead of Aldi. And the real danger here is that it makes you feel like you're progressing financially when you're not. You might be earning more, but if you're spending just as much, you're still stuck in the same cycle. So next time you get a raise or a bonus, don't just let it disappear into lifestyle upgrades. Before you spend it, decide how much is going into savings, investments, future goals. Even setting aside 50% of every pay increase will put you ahead. Spend according to your values, not social pressure. Ask yourself, do I actually care about this, or am I just buying this to impress? Spend on things that genuinely improve your life, not just things that make you look successful. Track your spending, even if it's just for a month. If you've never tracked your spending before, this will be an eye-opener. Write down every single thing that you spend money on for a whole month. You'll quickly see where lifestyle creep has got in. A great way to stop lifestyle creep before it even starts is to automate your savings and investments. That way, as your income grows, so does your wealth. More money doesn't make you rich. What you do with it does. If you want real financial freedom, start spending with intention, not impulse. This mistake hits hard because I've seen so many women fall into it. I've seen so many women assume that because they're in a relationship, they don't need to worry about money as much. Maybe their partner earns more, manages the investments, or they've just never even thought about what happens if things change. But I've been in a bad relationship before, and when it ended, I wasn't scrambling around or financially stuck because I took control of my money the whole time. I didn't have to stay because I was financially dependent. I didn't have to stress about how I'd afford my home and pay the bills. And that was a massive relief because I've seen firsthand what happens when women don't have that independence. When they feel financially trapped in a relationship because they don't have their own money or don't know how to manage it on their own. That's why this mistake, which is relying on a partner for financial security instead of building your own, is so important to talk about. Too many women let their partner take the lead financially, whether that's handling investments, paying the bills, or just assuming it'll work out. But what if it doesn't? Relationships end and people change and life throws curveballs. And if you don't have your own financial foundation, you'll find yourself stuck. Nearly 49% of women over 65 are single, whether due to divorce, widowhood, or just never marrying. That means that almost half of women are navigating retirement alone. There's also the stat of how women's income drops by almost 40% after divorce, while for men it's only 21%. And yet so many women still put off managing their own finances because it feels overwhelming, or they assume that their partner has it handled. But if something happens, do you really want to be figuring it all out from scratch? So here's what to do. Know your numbers. Even if your partner handles the bills, do you know exactly what's coming in and going out? What accounts do you both have? If you had to take over tomorrow, would you know what to do? If the answer is no, it's time to get clued up. You can love and trust your partner completely and still have your own financial safety net. Having a personal savings account, emergency fund, or investments in your own name isn't about expecting the worst. It's about making sure that you always have choices. If you're not investing in your own name, start now. It doesn't matter if your partner has a pension or investments. What do you have? Get a pension or an ISA, just something that belongs to you. and secure your future. If you've never really sat down and discussed your finances together, now's the time. Do you know what's happening with their pension? Do they know yours? Are you both contributing equally? Avoiding the conversation doesn't make things easier. It just creates bigger problems later. At the end of the day, love is great, but financial independence is better. You can be in an amazing relationship and still be in full control of your money. In fact, having your own financial security makes the relationship stronger because you're choosing to be in it, not because you're financially dependent. So there you have it. They're the 4 big mistakes. At the end of the day, financial security isn't about how much you earn. It's about the choices you make. The small decisions that you make today will shape your financial future. And the best part, you're in control of that. If any of these mistakes hit close to home, don't stress. We've all been there. The important thing is that now you know better. And when you know better, you can do better. If this was helpful, make sure that you subscribe for more wealth building tips. And if you're serious about getting your finances in order, make sure you check out my free budget in the description. And if you're ready for the next step, YouTube thinks that you're going to love this video. So I'll see you over there.